I never mattered to anyone at Westwood Enterprises. To them, I was just the assistant, the errand girl, the invisible worker, the nobody. They shoved their work onto me, sneered when I walked by, and treated me like I didn't exist. I let them. Because what choice did I have? I had no family, no connections, just a tiny apartment, a paycheck that barely kept me afloat, and a best friend who swore I deserved better. But everything changed the day I walked into the CEO's office. The moment their eyes met mine, I knew. They knew. And in that instant, my entire life became a lie. Because I wasn't nobody. I was the daughter of the people who owned it all. And they had been looking for me. But the real question was, why did they lose me in the first place? Stay tuned to the end, as my story is shared to you all. For more stories like this, please like and subscribe.
Emily Carter, a 21-year-old woman, wakes up to the sound of her alarm in a small, modest apartment. She rubs her tired eyes, staring at the ceiling for a moment before sighing deeply. It's another day, another struggle. She forces herself up, moving through her tiny kitchen to make a cup of instant coffee. The apartment is eerily quiet. She's been alone for years, ever since her mother died when she was 18. No family, no safety net. Just her and the life she's built from scratch. She gets ready for work, slipping into a simple, neatly pressed outfit. Nothing fancy, just enough to look presentable. She grabs her worn-out bag, checking her phone. A message from Lisa, her best friend, pops up. "Hang in there, Em. One day, they'll see your worth." Emily smiles faintly but doesn't respond. The city is already alive when she steps outside. People rush past, cars honk, and life moves forward just like it always does. She catches the crowded bus, standing in the aisle as she scrolls through her social media feed. Pictures of people her age traveling, dining at expensive restaurants, enjoying life. Emily quickly locks her phone, shoving it into her bag. Arriving at Westwood Enterprises, the towering glass building looms over her. She takes a deep breath before stepping inside. The sleek lobby is bustling with employees, all dressed in sharp suits, walking with purpose. No one acknowledges her. She's just the office assistant, the one who fetches coffee, runs errands, and gets treated like she doesn't matter. As she enters the office, the receptionist gives her a half-hearted glance before returning to her computer. Emily walks past groups of employees chatting and laughing, feeling like an outsider in her own workplace. The HR manager, Miss Grant, spots her and immediately narrows her eyes. "You're late," Miss Grant states, arms crossed. Emily checks the time. She's not late, but arguing won't help. "Sorry, ma'am," she says quietly. Miss Grant scoffs. "There's coffee to be served in the conference room. And make it quick." Emily bites back her frustration and heads toward the break room. It's the same every day, no respect, no appreciation. But she needs this job. So she keeps her head down and gets to work, unaware that her life is about to change forever. Emily moves through the office with a tray of coffee, careful not to spill a single drop. The boardroom door is slightly open, and she hears the deep voices of executives discussing important deals. Conversations she'll never be a part of. Taking a deep breath, she pushes the door open and steps inside. The room goes silent for a second as the men glance at her, their expressions indifferent. She places the coffee in front of them, but before she can step away, one of them frowns. "This has too much sugar," he mutters, pushing the cup aside. Emily forces a polite smile. "I can get you another one, sir." He waves her off, already moving on to the next topic of discussion. She quickly gathers the rejected cup and leaves, feeling her face burn with embarrassment. This is how it always is, her presence acknowledged only when something is wrong. Back at her desk, which isn't even a real desk but a small corner near the supply closet, she organizes documents, answers calls, and fulfills every request thrown her way. No one thanks her. No one even looks at her twice. Employees walk past, chatting loudly, their laughter filling the space while she sits in silence. Then there's Miss Grant, the HR manager, who seems to have made it her mission to make Emily's life unbearable. She stops by, arms crossed, lips pursed. I need these files delivered to Mr. Reynolds's office immediately. And be careful this time. Last time, you almost mixed them up. Emily nods, biting her tongue. She knows she didn't mix up any files, but arguing is pointless. She takes the stack of papers and hurries upstairs to the executive floor. Mr. Reynolds's office is intimidating, with its massive desk and shelves lined with awards. He doesn't look up when she enters, only gesturing toward the table where she should place the documents. Just as she's about to leave, his assistant stops her. "You, coffee girl," the woman calls out. "Fix the printer. It's jammed again." Emily turns back, nodding quickly. She's not even in the IT department, but she's used to doing tasks that aren't hers. She kneels by the printer, carefully opening the panel to remove the stuck paper. As she works, the assistant sighs dramatically. "This company should really stop hiring nobodies," she mutters to a colleague. "You'd think they'd get better office help." Emily freezes for just a second before continuing her task. She's used to this, being spoken about like she isn't there, like she isn't a person with dreams, with feelings. During lunch, she sits alone in the break room, scrolling through her phone. A message from Lisa pops up. "How's work? Need me to come punch someone for you?" She smiles, shaking her head. Lisa is the only person who reminds her that she's worth more than this. Just as she's about to respond, Jake, her boyfriend, calls. She picks up, expecting a warm greeting, but instead, he jumps straight to the point. "Babe, can you send me $50? I'm a little short on cash." Emily sighs, knowing this routine all too well. "Again, Jake? I'll pay you back," he says, though they both know he won't. She hesitates, but in the end, she agrees. He hangs up without even saying thank you. As she puts her phone down, Miss Grant walks in, spotting her immediately. "Break time is over," she snaps. "There's a mess in the conference room. Go clean it up." Emily swallows her frustration and stands up. Another day, another moment of being treated like she doesn't belong. What she doesn't know is that soon, everything will change. After another exhausting day, Emily drags herself out of the office, her mind racing with everything that went wrong. The whispers, the dismissive glances, the constant reminders that she is nothing in their eyes. She exhales sharply, forcing herself to shake it off. Lisa is waiting for her outside the office, leaning casually against her car with a smirk. Unlike Emily, Lisa has never been one to take nonsense from anyone. Her confidence is effortless, the kind Emily wishes she had. "You look like you just crawled out of a corporate nightmare," Lisa says, eyeing Emily's slumped shoulders. Emily lets out a dry laugh. "That's because I did." Lisa doesn't press further. She just hands Emily a milkshake, her favorite, and starts the car. They drive in comfortable silence, but Emily knows Lisa is watching her carefully, waiting for her to talk. Eventually, Emily sighs. "Sometimes, I wonder if this is all my life is going to be. Just being invisible." Lisa scoffs. "Please, you're meant for bigger things, Em. You just don't see it yet." Emily appreciates the sentiment, but deep down, she doesn't believe it. If she were meant for more, wouldn't life have shown her by now? Later that night, she sits in her apartment, scrolling through job listings, but nothing seems realistic. She needs this job at Westwood Enterprises, no matter how miserable it makes her. She's barely keeping up with bills as it is. Her phone buzzes, Jake. She debates ignoring it, but eventually she answers. "Hey, babe," he says smoothly. "What are you doing?" "Just looking at job postings," she admits, already bracing for his response. Jake sighs dramatically. "You're always stressing over work. You need to relax." Emily clenches her jaw. Easy for him to say. He's never had to worry about rent or food or survival. Before she can reply, he changes the subject. "By the way, I was thinking, my friends are going on a trip this weekend, and I kind of need some extra cash. Just a couple hundred." Emily's grip tightens on the phone. "Jake, I don't have—" "Come on, Em. You're working in some big company, aren't you? What's a little extra?" She exhales slowly. He doesn't get it. He never has. Before Jack could speak further, She ended the call. Lisa's words from earlier echo in her mind. You're meant for bigger things. But right now, Emily feels as small as ever. What she doesn't know is that her world is about to shift in a way she never expected. And when it does, not everyone will be happy about it. The next morning at Westwood Enterprises, Emily rushes through the office, carrying a stack of documents. Another day, another round of being invisible. But today feels different. There's a strange energy in the air, whispers between employees, stolen glances, an unusual tension that she can't quite place. As she reaches the executive floor, she overhears two senior staff members speaking in hushed tones. Did you hear? The CEO and his wife are in the building today. Emily pauses for a split second. The CEO? That's rare. Westwood's elusive owner and his wife almost never visit. Their presence alone is enough to send the office into a frenzy. But why now? She doesn't have time to dwell on it. Miss Grant, as usual, finds her at the worst possible moment. The CEO's wife is in the private lounge, Miss Grant says curtly. She needs tea. Now. Emily quickly prepares the order and heads toward the lounge. As she steps inside, her heart skips a beat. Sitting elegantly on one of the plush chairs is a woman who radiates power and grace. Charlotte Westwood, the wife of the CEO, the co-founder of the company. She's flipping through a file, her expression unreadable. Emily places the tea down carefully, but just as she's about to leave, something unexpected happens. Charlotte looks up, and for a fleeting second, her sharp gaze locks onto Emily's face. Something flickers in the woman's expression. A strange, almost startled recognition. Emily shifts uncomfortably. She doesn't understand why, but for some reason, she suddenly feels seen. She quickly exits, shaking off the unease, but the feeling lingers. Why did Charlotte Westwood look at her like that? Hours later, as Emily organizes files, she notices something odd. A family portrait in one of the executive folders. It's old, probably from over 2 decades ago. Her eyes skim over the image of Mr. and Mrs. Westwood standing proudly with a baby girl in their arms. But there's something about the child's face, something strangely familiar. Her chest tightens. Why does the baby look like her? Emily snaps the folder shut, her heart pounding. It's ridiculous. Coincidence. It has to be. But deep down, a feeling stirs. One she can't ignore. Something isn't right, and she's about to find out why. Emily's world starts to feel like it's tilting. The more she tries to shake off the strange feeling, the stronger it gets. The look in Charlotte Westwood's eyes, the eerie resemblance of the baby in the photograph. It all gnaws at her like an unanswered question, one she's too afraid to voice. But fate doesn't wait for her to process. That evening, as she's gathering her things to leave, her name is called over the intercom. Emily Carter, report to the CEO's office immediately. A ripple of murmurs spreads through the office. People who have ignored her for months now suddenly notice her. Miss Grant looks almost amused, as if she expects Emily to be fired on the spot. With shaky hands, Emily makes her way to the top floor, where she has never been before. The doors to the CEO's office are massive, intimidating. As they open, she steps inside and sees Charlotte and Richard Westwood standing there, waiting. The air is thick with tension. Charlotte's gaze softens the moment she sees Emily, but Richard remains unreadable, his sharp eyes assessing her. Sit down, Emily, Charlotte says gently. Emily doesn't move. Every instinct screams that something is wrong. Why would the most powerful couple in the company summon her? She's just an office assistant, just a nobody. But then, Charlotte speaks again, this time with a tremble in her voice. We've been looking for you for years. Emily's breath catches. The words don't make sense. Looking for her? Richard steps forward, his expression controlled, but his voice firm. You're our daughter, Emily. The world stops. Emily stares at them, waiting for the punchline, the explanation, anything that would make this less insane. But Charlotte's eyes glisten with unshed tears, and Richard, the man known for his unshakable composure, looks like he's struggling to keep himself together. A million thoughts flood Emily's mind at once. This isn't possible. This is a mistake. She's an orphan. Her mother died when she was 18. Her father? She never even knew him. Yet, as she looks at Charlotte, she sees something she never noticed before. The same eyes, the same curve of her cheekbones. The resemblance is there, clear as day. But if this is true, if these people are really her parents, why did they leave her? Her throat tightens. No, this can't be real. Charlotte reaches out, as if to touch her, but Emily flinches. There's too much, too many emotions crashing into her at once. Richard exhales heavily. There are things you don't know, Emily. Things we should have told you long ago. Emily stumbles back, shaking her head. Everything she's ever known about herself is unraveling, slipping through her fingers. The life she thought she had, the truth she believed in, it's all built on a lie. And she's not sure she's ready for the truth. Emily doesn't remember how she got out of that office. One moment, her world was turned upside down. The next, she was outside, gasping for air. Their daughter? How could that be true? Felt like a cruel joke. One that she wasn't laughing at. For years, she had struggled alone. She had cried herself to sleep, worked herself to exhaustion, endured humiliation and loneliness. And all this time, the people who owned the company, who had the power to change her life, were her parents? Rage builds inside her, hot and uncontrollable. If they had really been searching for her, why did it take 21 years? Why did she have to suffer while they lived in luxury? Her phone rings, Lisa. She hesitates before answering. I need to see you, Emily says, her voice shaky but firm. Lisa listens, her usual playful tone replaced with sharp concern. Where are you? I'm coming. When Lisa arrives, Emily spills everything. Every word feels surreal, like she's recounting someone else's life. Lisa, usually the loud one, is stunned into silence. After a long pause, she finally says, Emily, they let you struggle. They let you believe you were alone. That's unforgivable. Emily grips her coffee cup, her knuckles white. I don't know what they expect me to do. Hug them? Thank them. Her voice shakes with anger. I suffered for years, while they had everything. Lisa nods. Then make them regret it. The words hang in the air. Emily hadn't considered it before, but now the idea takes root. They owe her. The humiliation she faced at Westwood Enterprises, the way she was treated like nothing. They let that happen. Miss Grant, the employees who disrespected her, even the HR director who made her life miserable. They never would have dared if they knew who she was. But they didn't. And that's their mistake. Emily straightens, a new fire burning inside her. She isn't the same powerless assistant anymore. She is Emily Westwood. And it's time everyone at the company learns exactly who they've been mistreating.
Please like, subscribe, and share for more interesting stories.